Welcome back to the news at 10. Blood transfusions saves lives, but many patients requiring it don't have timely access to safe blood in Nigeria. Tonight, our focus on health is on the need for voluntary blood donations and its benefits.
Call it the fluid of life and you won't be wrong. Blood is the highly essential liquid flowing continuously in the body's circulatory system. Diets rich in vegetables, fruits, whole grain, among others, help boost blood production. On the average, there are about 5 to 6 liters of blood in a healthy individual. But sometimes unforeseen circumstances can make this quantity inadequate, and that's where the issue of blood donation comes in.
The circumstances that people that require an individual to be transfused with blood is a situation number one where an individual is losing blood. Most people that will require blood on an emergency basis are people that are involved in ghastly road traffic accident. It is sad that people will make it to the hospital and then will still not be able to salvage them because we do not have blood in the blood bank.
We do not know when any one of us will fall ill. We don't, especially pregnant women, when they are pregnant, you never know which one of them will be complicated. We have complications that will require blood. It's when this blood is available that we are able to save the lives of both the mother and the child. So it's essential for people to donate blood voluntarily without being paid for this.
Blood banks in Nigeria are not always filled to capacity, no thanks to low number of blood donors. A lot of myth and unfounded fears, such as fear of losing blood and the perception that blood donation could spell doom for the donors by affecting their health, are said to be some of the factors against blood donation drive. The fact, however, is blood donation has its benefits.
There are important medical advantages to blood donation. People don't realize this. You see, it is safe to donate blood. Let us first of all let people know that it is safe to donate blood. What Almighty God has given to us as oxygen carrying capacity, because what we need blood for is the transport of oxygen from the lungs to our tissues. Now, the advantage that people don't know they have from donating blood is that it helps you to live a healthier adult life, and indirectly, regular returning volunteer blood donation has the capacity to increase an individual lifespan by about 5 to 7 years.
A person is fit or eligible to donate blood. A fitness test is required to be done on that individual to be sure that the donor himself has enough blood to sustain him even after removing a pint of blood from the donor.
I encourage people that are very active and very okay. Donating blood is not a big deal, you understand? You come out there to donate blood to save other people's life. There are many people there outside that need the blood.
So, if you're between 18 and 60 years, considering a blood donation may not be a bad idea. Aside from the screening process, the actual time to take a pint of blood is between 7 to 10 minutes. Just make sure you have enough food before the blood donation process and a drink after. Yomi Otaigbe reporting for Channels Television News.
The movie industry in Nigeria has long been seen as the leading movie industry in Africa. However, other African countries are beginning to up their game with quality productions that appear to have surpassed the quality of most Nollywood movies. Our next report takes a look at why Nollywood appears to be losing pace in its quest to at least maintain its lead in African cinema.
Nigerian movie industry, popularly called Nollywood, has grown in leaps and bounds. It is well regarded as the leading movie industry in Africa and has been compared with the more technical Hollywood and Bollywood in terms of production volume. However, recent developments have shown that while Nollywood continues to pride itself in the number of movies produced, other African countries have been working real hard to improve on the quality of movies they make. The results, although shocking to many Nollywood fans, means movies from Ghana, Kenya and South Africa dominates technical categories in Pan-African Movie Awards.
I believe strongly that we have some issues when it comes to technicalities with Nollywood, but, well, not all Nollywood movies. There are some movies that you can tell that they are really also very good.
In the year 2013, President Jonathan gave a 3 billion naira grant to Nollywood in addition to the earlier announced $200 million entertainment loan fund provided in 2010. After a meeting with government officials, the Coalition of Nollywood Guilds recommends that the presidential grant be channeled primarily into distribution, with only about 10% of this grant allotted for capacity building.
No matter what happens, solving distribution is going to have a large chunk of the funds. And then after that, we'll see what other areas we might encourage.
There has been a whole lot of emphasis on distribution. That is important. And I think a large chunk of the money will go to distribution. But we're also talking about capacity building and production. Because if you have distribution and there's no production, how are you going to feed the distribution?
Renowned movie maker Kunle Afolayan, whose new movie, October 1st, has been entered for the acclaimed International Film Festival, Cannes, believes that technical talents abound in the country, only they are not properly developed to meet international standards.
There are quite a number of talents in this country who really, when they have all they need and maybe additional training, they can give you what Hollywood will give you.
Last year, Nollywood celebrated its 20th anniversary amidst a series of fanfare while highlighting some of the successes achieved during the past 2 decades. It is now clear that for the industry to have more to celebrate in coming years, focus needs to move away from the glamour to details and quality of production.
The 237th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria begins next week. The committee will meet on Monday and Tuesday, and this is the first gathering in almost 5 years. But I do beg your pardon, before we go there, we are to read this story. Governor Emmanuel Uduaghan of Delta State, Africa's richest man, Alhaji Aliko Dangote, and one of Nigeria's innovative industrialists, Mr. Innocent Chukwuma, have received the Vanguard newspaper's Personality of the Year Awards. The 3 men have been recognized for their achievements in governance, industrial development, and job creation in Nigeria. Speaking on behalf of all the recipients, Governor Uduaghan, against the backdrop of last week's immigration test tragedy, emphasized the need to create jobs for the teeming population of youth.
We encourage people to create jobs so that our youth will not go and gather in the stadium or stadia looking for jobs. If we had enough jobs, what happened will not happen. That is just the summary of our Delta Beyond Oil. Creating jobs so that our youth will be engaged, so that our youth will be employed. And I'm happy that Mr. President is even leading the way in the creation of jobs. Because whatever is being done to our economy is to ensure that our young ones are employed. The Innocents are doing, Innocents manufacture vehicles today. That is Delta and Nigeria Beyond Oil. His business is not about oil. Dangote is doing a lot in the cement, sugar, and other industries. His business is not just about oil, but it's beyond oil. So I want to encourage our private investors to put their money into areas that will ensure that our young ones are employed. Our vision of Delta Beyond Oil is about employment of our youths, of our women, and of our men. It's not a vision for today alone. It's a vision for today, it's a vision for tomorrow, and it's a vision also for the future. So I encourage you, all of us, to be part of this vision.
Time to turn our attention to business news. Here's Adeshawa Josh.
Oh, thank you. Let's take you through our business stories this hour. The 237th meeting of the Monetary Policy Committee of the Central Bank of Nigeria begins next week. The committee will meet on Monday and Tuesday, and this is its first gathering in almost 5 years without suspended Central Bank Governor Lamido Sanusi. Market watchers say the major concern for the committee remains the exchange rate stability and the depleting external reserves. The Naira may be influenced by the outcome of the meeting, even as the market trades cautiously. And at the interbank market, lending rates fell by 8.59% to an average of 10.41% yesterday, from 19% last week after a liquidity boost from matured bonds. The central bank paid 300 billion naira to retire bond on Wednesday, in addition to the disbursal of government budget allocations and cash call payments to joint oil production partners by NNPC. Dealers say the cash balance that lenders hold at the central bank opened at 527.21 billion naira in surplus, compared with 158 billion naira a week ago. The 20th edition of the Nigeria Economic Summit has ended in Abuja with a call to make the education sector a formidable one. While the conference had both public and private sector participants and were asked to intervene in the sector. Our business correspondent Chimeze Obiwagu reports.
It's an annual event, but this time attention is being drawn to the education sector, which is said to hold the key to national development and Nigeria's ability to compete in the global economy.
This summit on education will achieve three things. The first is to draw everyone's attention to the fact that we do have a problem and to understand the nature of that problem. The second is to consider our capacity and ability to effect the necessary changes based on the magnitude of what needs to be done. And the third is to devise a structure that will ensure sustainability of an improving educational system.
Session after session, stakeholders made their contributions on the way forward for the sector. But what remains an issue is policy inconsistency, which Dr. Obieze Kwesili, who was once the Minister of Education, acknowledges was her major challenge.
It was during my time that we put the policy on early child care education. We worked on the issues of bringing the teacher to the center to have the kind of autonomy and the kind of power and the prestige. Now, all of those programs could have been continued. If they have not been continued, it's frankly, I consider it a disservice, to the greater population.
While these deliberations are on, some of the students present also have their own expectations.
I expect that after this summit, we will have lots of teacher empowerment schemes around everywhere already to help our teachers acquire great teaching skills that enable us to call them really qualified teachers. Because if we have qualified teachers, then we won't take our teachers for granted and we admire them the way we admire foreigners.
Nigeria's education sector may be in dire straits, but many, including international observers, are optimistic of a brighter future for the sector.
I believe that Nigeria in the next 5 years could be a leader in the world in transforming education. And the reason I say that is because it's in such disarray today. Out of the ashes could rise something very, very beautiful. I believe that we can actually, in the next 3 to 5 years, create a prototype model of the future of education that literally would cause people from around the world to come here and to learn from Nigerians.
Well, the summit has ended and the summary of the outcome of the deliberations has been presented to the president. But how well these suggestions are implemented will actually determine the future of this sector. Chimeze Obiwagu, Channels Television News.
And that's business news this hour. The news at 10 continues in just a moment.
Next on the news at 10, Chelsea manager Jose Mourinho hails team's no-nonsense approach in the demolition of Arsenal. That's in sports news. Please stay with us.